I never thought I'd find myself in a situation like this, but here I am, staring at the mess my life has become. My name's Mark, and I was married to Lisa for 8 years. We had a pretty good life, 2 kids, a nice house in the suburbs, decent jobs. But lately, things had started to feel off. Lisa had become more distant, short-tempered even. At first, I thought maybe it was just stress, work, the kids, bills. But then little things started piling up, and I couldn't ignore them anymore. It all started about a month ago when I noticed Lisa sneaking around a little more than usual. She'd go into the basement a lot, which she usually used for her yoga. She's into yoga, always has been, but lately it was like she was hiding something. She'd lock the door and then come up looking flushed or a little out of breath, and I'd catch her in little lies, saying she was just stretching or doing her usual routine. But I'm not stupid. I had a feeling she was hiding something. Then I got the notifications. Our house has a security system with cameras covering the basement, and I had set it up mostly for the kids' safety. I started getting alerts during the day when she was down there. At first, I ignored them, just thought maybe she was doing her workouts. But the notifications kept coming, more frequent and more suspicious. I decided to check the feed just to see what was really happening. What I saw made my blood run cold. Lisa in the basement gym I built for her, our own little sanctuary, her birthday gift last year, was not alone. She was with this guy, Jake. I recognized him right away from work. He's our neighbor's kid, but he's also a personal trainer, and apparently Lisa had been seeing him behind my back for weeks. The footage was crystal clear. Jake was on top of her, her legs wrapped around him, her hands tangled in his hair. They were doing more than just stretching or working out. I saw her laughing, flirting, kissing him, and then, well, you can imagine what came next. That was the moment I realized my wife was cheating on me, right under my nose. All those late nights she said she was at yoga, all those me-time sessions, were just cover-ups for this affair. I couldn't believe it. I felt numb, like I'd been punched in the gut. I sat there in shock, rewatching the footage over and over. My mind was racing. How long has this been going on? How could she lie so effortlessly? I always thought Lisa was a strong, independent woman, but this betrayal shattered everything I believed about her. And the worst part, she lied to my face so many times that I don't even know what was real anymore. I thought our marriage was solid, but apparently I was just fooling myself. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying what I saw, feeling a mix of anger and sadness. I was furious that she'd cheat in our own house, in our basement gym that I built for her birthday, of all places. It was supposed to be a place for her to relax, find peace. Instead, it became a symbol of her betrayal. I felt like I didn't even know her anymore, and that thought hurt worse than anything else. How do you rebuild trust when the person you loved most has been lying right in front of you? I knew I had to confront her. I couldn't just pretend I didn't see what I saw, but I also knew I had to plan it carefully. I had to figure out what I wanted to say, how I'd handle her lies, and what I was willing to accept or not accept. That's where I am right now, standing at this crossroads trying to process what comes next. The next morning, I woke up feeling like I'd been run over by a truck. My mind was racing all night, replaying everything I saw the night before. I kept telling myself I needed to confront her, but I also knew that it wouldn't be that simple. Lisa is. Well, she's a master manipulator when she wants to be. She's bitchy, sneaky, and she has a way of twisting things around to make herself look innocent. But I was done being played. I decided to start slow. I waited until she was in the kitchen, sipping her coffee, acting like nothing had changed. I looked at her, trying to keep my voice steady. Lisa, can we talk about something important? She looked up, raising an eyebrow, annoyed already. That bitchy attitude of hers was on full display. Yeah. What's up, Mark? You look like you've seen a ghost. She smirked, but I could see the flicker of annoyance behind her eyes. I took a deep breath. I saw the security footage last night in the basement. Her face froze for a second, then she quickly recovered, a fake smile spreading across her face. Oh, that. Yeah, I've been meaning to tell you. I've been doing some yoga sessions with Jake. It's good for my health, you know. I stared at her in disbelief. That was her excuse. You've been doing yoga with Jake, I repeated, trying to keep my voice calm. In our basement, did you think I wouldn't find out? She rolled her eyes. Look, Mark, you're overreacting. It's just yoga. He's a trainer and I pay him for lessons. Nothing more. You're making a big deal out of nothing. I felt my blood boil. Nothing more. You're telling me you're doing more than yoga with him. You're telling me that's all it is. She shrugged, her tone dismissive. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're being paranoid. You always jump to conclusions. Her words stung, but I was too angry to care about her lies. I knew better now. I'd seen enough. The way she lied so convincingly made me feel sick. I had always trusted her, and now that trust was shattered. I didn't know whether to scream or cry. I wanted to shake her, to ask her why she did it, but I knew that wouldn't get me anywhere. Instead, I just stared at her, feeling like I was looking at a stranger. The woman I loved, the woman I thought I knew, was out there screwing around in our own house, in my basement. That's a level of betrayal I never expected to face. I decided I needed to get more evidence just to be sure. I pulled out my phone, connected to the security camera app, and replayed the footage from the night before. I watched the videos again, the intimacy, the flirtation, the obvious sex act they were engaged in. I noticed how Lisa's body language was so different from her usual self. She was reckless, careless even, like she didn't care if I was watching. Part of me wanted to confront her right then and there, to blow everything open, but I knew I had to prepare. If I was going to call her out, I needed to be ready for whatever she threw at me, and she would throw everything. Denial, lies, guilt trips, maybe even blame me for being a controlling husband. That's just who she is. She's good at twisting things around. I told her I had to go to work and left the house feeling more lost than ever. I couldn't believe I was living through this. How did I miss the signs? When did everything change? I kept thinking about the basement, the sanctuary I built for her, turned into her secret playground. I'd spent months saving up, designing that gym for her birthday. It was supposed to be her escape, her place to relax. Now it just felt like a prison. I spent the rest of the day trying to keep my emotions in check, but every time I closed my eyes, I saw her with Jake, her perfect smile, her body tangled with his. It was like an open wound that wouldn't stop bleeding. I kept asking myself if I had missed the signs, if I had been blind, or if I just didn't want to see it. Truth was, I felt betrayed, humiliated, and furious, all at once. By the afternoon, I decided that I couldn't stay silent anymore. I needed to confront her again, but this time I'd be ready. I started planning my next move. I knew I had to decide whether I was going to save this marriage or finally give up on it. But deep down, I already knew. I'd been betrayed in the worst way, and I wasn't going to let her get away with it. Not without a fight. That evening, I knew I had to face her again, but this time, I was going in with a plan. I didn't want her to muddy the waters with her usual lies and manipulation. I wanted the truth, no matter how ugly it was. I sat in the living room, pretending to be calm, while inside I was anything but. My mind was racing, trying to figure out what her next excuse would be, how she would spin it, and whether I'd be able to handle whatever she threw at me. When she finally came into the room, her expression was carefully neutral. She sat down across from me, sipping her wine like nothing was wrong. I looked at her and decided for the first time that I wasn't going to hold back anymore. You lied, I said bluntly. You told me it was just yoga, that it was nothing more, but I saw the footage, Lisa. I saw you with Jake in the basement doing whatever you were doing. She rolled her eyes, leaning back as if I was bothering her. Oh, please, Mark, you're overreacting. That's not what it looks like. Maybe I was just showing him some stretches. Maybe he's been helping me with my flexibility. You really think I'd cheat on you, after all we've been through? I felt my stomach tight. You think I'm stupid. You think I don't see what's going on. You're lying again. I know this isn't just about yoga. You're having sex with him, aren't you? Her face twisted into a smirk. You're crazy. You're reading too much into it. Maybe you're just jealous because I'm spending more time on myself. Maybe you're feeling insecure. Grow up, Mark. This is just sex, and frankly, I don't see what the big deal is. Her words hit like a punch in the gut. I looked at her, feeling my fists clench. The big deal. The big deal is that you're cheating on me in our own house, in our basement gym I built for you. That's the big deal. You're lying, cheating, and sneaking around behind my back, and you expect me to just accept it. She scoffed. I don't have to explain myself to you. You're always so controlling. Maybe if you weren't so paranoid, I wouldn't feel the need to hide anything. That was the moment I realized how far gone she was. She was twisting everything to make herself the victim. I felt rage boiling inside me. I wanted to shake her, to scream at her, but I held back. I needed to stay focused, because I knew her game. She loved to lie, deny, and shift blame. I pulled out my phone and showed her the footage right there on the screen. This isn't just stretching, Lisa. This is sex. And I don't want to hear another damn lie about it. I want the truth now. Are you sleeping with him? She looked at the screen, her face suddenly losing some of its smugness. For a moment, her eyes flickered with guilt, or maybe it was fear. Then she gathered herself, straightening her posture. Fine, yes, I've been seeing Jake, but it's not what you think. We're just experimenting, trying something new. It's not serious, it's just sex. That was the moment everything shattered inside me. I stared at her, feeling like I'd been punched again. Just sex. That was her excuse, like it was nothing. I couldn't believe how cold she was, how she was able to lie so effortlessly. My mind was spinning, trying to process the betrayal, the lies, the sheer audacity of her justifying cheating as some kind of experiment. I felt tears welling up, but I pushed them down. I had to stay strong. I had to decide what I was going to do next, because I knew from that moment on nothing would ever be the same. I'd caught her, yes. But the real question was, what now? Do I fight for this marriage, or do I walk away? The answer was already clear, but it still hurt like hell to admit it. I just didn't know if I could forgive her, or if I even wanted to try. The words hung heavy in the air after she finally admitted to everything. I stared at her, stunned into silence, trying to process what she'd just told me. She's been sleeping with Jake, her personal trainer, the guy I saw on the footage in my own basement gym. Her casual attitude, her nonchalant shrug, made me feel sick. It was like she didn't even care that she'd just thrown a wrecking ball through the foundation of our marriage. I couldn't believe I had been naive all these years, that I had trusted her blindly, believed her every excuse. And now here she was, telling me her lies were just trying something new, like it was no big deal. I felt a deep sting of betrayal, but underneath that, a bubbling fury. How dare she dismiss it all so easily? How dare she lie so convincingly? I didn't say anything for a long moment. My hands clenched into fists, and I stared at her, trying to find the words to respond. But all I could feel was an overwhelming mix of anger, sadness, and disappointment. I thought about everything. The times I'd come home late, the mysterious absences, the late-night texts I'd ignored because I trusted her. And yet she had been sneaking around, freaking in my basement gym behind my back. Finally, I managed to get out, "How long has this been going on?" My voice was hoarse, barely above a whisper. She hesitated, then shrugged. "A few months, not that long." Her eyes flicked away from mine, avoiding the truth. I felt a wave of rage hit me hard. Months, months of lying, sneaking around, and cheating on me in our house. My voice cracked, but I didn't care. I was beyond caring about her excuses anymore. She rolled her eyes again, trying to dismiss me. "Look, Mark, I don't know what you want me to say. Yeah, I messed up. I was feeling trapped, stressed, and honestly, it just happened. It doesn't mean I love him or want to leave you. It's just sex, and it's over now." She said it so casually, like she was talking about a bad restaurant experience. That was the moment I realized how little she cared about the damage she'd caused. I felt my stomach churn, the hurt turning into pure rage. I wanted to scream at her, too, shake some sense into her, but I knew that wouldn't help. Instead, I just looked at her and said, "You don't get to dismiss this. You don't get to downplay it. You betrayed everything we had, Lisa. I trusted you. I built that gym for you to have a space to relax, and you turned it into your secret playground with him." Her smirk returned, her tone laced with sarcasm. "Oh, please, don't be so dramatic. It's not like I'm leaving or something. Honestly, I don't see what you're so upset about. It's not like I'm running off with him. I'm still your wife. I'm still here, aren't I?" That's when I finally saw her for what she was: narcissistic, selfish, and incapable of genuine remorse. I realized that she was never truly sorry. She was only sorry she got caught. Her words were hollow, her behavior manipulative. I felt my fists tighten even more, and I knew I couldn't keep pretending I was okay with this. I looked her dead in the eyes and said, "You're right. You're still here, but you're not the woman I married. You're not the woman I thought I knew. I don't know if I can ever trust you again after this. But I do know I don't want to be married to someone who thinks cheating in our own house is just something new." She scoffed, standing up and grabbing her purse. "Whatever, Mark. Do what you want. I'll be in my room. But just so you know, this isn't the end. You're overreacting as usual. I doubt you'll even follow through with any real consequences." I watched her walk away, feeling the last shreds of my patience and hope evaporate. All I could think about was how I'd let this go on so long, how I'd ignored the little signs, how I'd been blind to her lies. And now it was all crashing down around me. I knew in that moment that my life was never going to be the same. The trust was gone. The love battered and broken. The house that once felt like home now felt like a prison. I sat alone in the living room that night, thinking about everything. About Lisa, about Jake, about my own foolishness for believing in forever. I realized that I had two choices: keep trying to salvage this mess, or finally admit that it was over. And deep inside, I already knew the answer. The days that followed were a blur of anger, sadness, and a kind of numbness I couldn't shake. I'd never felt so betrayed in my life. It was like I'd been sucker punched, only to find out the punch knocked out my entire sense of stability. Every time I walked past the basement gym, I felt a wave of disgust washing over me. That space I built with so much care, so much hope, meant nothing now. It was tainted with her lies, her betrayal. I couldn't even look at it without feeling sick. I spent hours trying to process what had happened, but the truth was, I was mostly just angry. Angry at her, at Jake, at myself for not seeing the warning signs earlier. I kept asking myself how I'd missed everything. Was I blind or just too trusting? Maybe a little of both. I used to think we had a good marriage, but now I saw it was just an illusion I'd clung to for too long. How could someone I loved so much throw that all away? That night, I decided I had to take control. I couldn't keep living in this limbo of betrayal and confusion. I needed to do something, anything, to regain some sense of power. I started planning. I'd sell the gym equipment. I had enough saved up, and honestly, I didn't want anything in that house reminding me of her anymore. It was just a painful symbol of her lies. But even as I prepared to sell everything, I knew that wouldn't fix what was broken inside me. I was carrying a heavy weight of hurt, betrayal, and disappointment that no amount of furniture or gym equipment could erase. I kept replaying the footage, her words, her dismissive attitude, trying to understand how she could be so cold, so indifferent to the damage she'd done. I reached out to a lawyer and started contemplating the next steps. I knew divorce was inevitable, but I also knew I needed to be smart about it. She wasn't going to go quietly. She'd fight, manipulate, and probably try to turn the kids against me. I had to stay focused. I didn't want to lose everything, but I also couldn't keep pretending this marriage was salvageable. The hardest part was facing the idea of telling my kids. They were young, innocent, and I didn't want them to grow up thinking their mother was capable of such betrayal. I decided I'd tell them the truth, but in a way that wouldn't scar them. I owed them honesty, but I also owed them stability. That part was tearing me apart, knowing I might have to break up their family. Throughout it all, Lisa kept acting like nothing had happened. She'd go about her day, acting bitchy, throwing tantrums if things didn't go her way, as if I was the villain for catching her. She'd lie again, deny everything, and try to paint herself as the victim. It was infuriating, but I refused to let her control the narrative. I knew her game now. One night I sat alone in our bedroom, staring at the ceiling, thinking about what I'd lost and what I needed to do. I felt a cold, hard resolve growing inside me. I wasn't going to let her manipulate me anymore. She'd betrayed me in the worst way, and I was done playing nice. I deserved better. My dignity, my sanity, my peace, they all deserved a fighting chance. So I made a decision: I would sell the house if I had to. I'd start fresh, away from her lies and her betrayal. I'd protect my kids, do right by them, and rebuild my life in a way that didn't include her. It was the hardest choice I'd ever faced, but I knew it was the only way to heal. I just hoped I'd find a way to move past the pain. I knew I'd be carrying this scar for a long, long time. The day I handed over the keys and officially listed the house was one of the hardest days I've ever had to face. Every step felt like a small death. I watched her pack her stuff, her bitchy smirk never leaving her face, as if she thought she was winning some sort of game, but I knew better. She'd lost me, lost our marriage, and most importantly, she'd lost my trust forever. Watching her walk out that door, I felt a strange mixture of relief and heartbreak. In the weeks that followed, I threw myself into rebuilding my life. I focused on the kids, making sure they felt loved and safe, even as I was piecing my own broken heart back together. I cut ties with Lisa completely. Her lies, her manipulation, they no longer had a place in my world. I took down the gym equipment, sold it all, and used that money to start fresh. I moved into a smaller apartment, closer to work, closer to my kids. It wasn't the life I thought I'd have, but it was the life I needed. Looking back now, I realize how much I learned from all of this. I trusted blindly, I ignored the little warning signs, and I let her manipulate me for too long. But I also learned that sometimes betrayal is a brutal wake-up call. It forces you to confront the truth about yourself and the people you thought you knew. And in some twisted way, it makes you stronger, more aware of what you deserve and what you don't. I won't pretend to be completely healed yet. The scars are there, deep and raw. But I'm moving forward slowly but surely. I know now that I can't change what happened, but I can choose how I let it define me. I refuse to carry her betrayal around like a weight that drags me down forever. For anyone out there going through something similar, my advice is simple. Don't ignore the signs. Trust your instincts even if they tell you something you don't want to hear. Confront the hard truths early. And whatever you do, don't let someone's lies and cheating strip away your dignity. You are better than that. You deserve honesty, respect, and love, not betrayal. So here I am, finally starting over. The house is gone, the pain is still there, but I've learned to accept it. I've learned that this pain, as overwhelming as it is, will eventually fade. And when it does, I'll be stronger, smarter, and more prepared to find happiness again, without the lies, without the betrayal. That's what I hold on to now. That's how I'm going to survive this.